All right, if I could ask you to mute your phones, that would be greatly appreciated. I can't mute from this end this year, but we're going to go ahead with the presentation. So this is Michigan Traffic Crash Facts, and it's located at michigantrafficcrashfacts.org. It's a site run by the Office of Highway Safety Planning and hosted by the University of Michigan Transportation Research Institute. My name is Patrick Bowman. I'm hearing a lot of interference on this end. I don't know if anybody else is, but I'll try to avoid that. My name is Patrick Bowman, and I work at UMTRI, and I also consult with the Office of Highway Safety Planning for part of my job there. So the site itself has two sides. There's a publication side and a data query tool where live data can be queried. We host a closed data set that's usually released about this time each year. And we get the data and we build it and we put it on the website. And so we build the publications throughout the summer, and we have the data query tool with the data up as soon as we can. First, I'm going to show you the publication side. So the publications date back to 1992, and over the years there's been many added for each publication. There's new sections added over time, and we try to continually add each year. So the first thing I'll show you is just the deer section. It's a good example of the statewide. So you see there's a map with different shading for vehicle deer crashes, and tables and graphs. And some more table by month. So all of these publications, alcohol, drugs, age, historical information, this is all for statewide. The same can be said for UP as well. If we go to the UP section, you can see that all of the same information is available specifically for the UP. The next section are the fact sheets, and these are used by the press a lot of the times. They're just quick pinpoints based on specific crash topics. So if I click on alcohol, you see that there's an infographic and then bulleted points for alcohol-related crashes. And if we scroll down, there's actually a second page to this one with the beer infographic. And the bullet points just tell some specific information that we pulled out for that year of data, this being 2015. The County Community Summary section contains information for counties around the state, as well as each individual city and township. So if I click on Traffic Crash Summary, I see information for crashes around the state by county, by injury level, and different interstate and US routes, and as well as the people killed and people injured. But if I scroll down, I see a lot more information. And these tables specifically show each county by township and city within the county, as well as totals for that county. Each of the sections within the county community summary have this information. So there's age, alcohol, deer, and a ranking. And the ranking section shows rankings for the counties and on different related topics to crashes. The next section are the profiles, and there are county profiles that are specific to the counties around Michigan, as well as the different Michigan State Police districts and posts and prosperity regions. If I could just take a moment to ask everybody else to mute their phones since I can't do it on my end. That would be very helpful. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback and it's a little distracting. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of the county profiles. And here I'm going to go to Kalamazoo County. And you can see these profiles are 20-page profiles that contain information in tables and maps and a little summary on the front page here. And we have driver information and vehicle information. Here's some more tables by month, day of week. And these county profiles go on and on. There's more information by township. And there's alcohol and drug information, as well as seatbelt information at the end. And at the very end of the profile, we have maps that show crashes. This one's specifically for alcohol-involved fatal crashes. So all of the counties have similar profiles each year, and we have a statewide summary. The Michigan State Police District profiles are also listed here, and they're similar to the county profiles with just a makeup of that region. The post profiles are also similar breakdown. The governor's MDOT Prosperity Region profiles are also similar, just a different combination of counties, but I'm not going to go over all of these profiles since they're a similar setup. If I select Traffic Safety Network profiles, again, I'll see the same setup for those profiles, so I'm not going to go over those today. For the Governor's Traffic Safety Advisory Commission, we have different sections for each commission, as well as links to each of their pages. And if I click on one of these, it'll open up to a page within MTCF, within a specific publication that we've pinpointed that we think will be helpful for that group. So we have commercial motor vehicle safety, distracted driving, drivers age 24 and younger, impaired driving, motorcycle safety, occupant protection, pedestrian and bicycle safety, senior mobility and safety, and traffic safety engineering. And some of these also have profiles. And these profiles are similar to the county structure, but they're targeted towards specific areas of enforcement. So we have a commercial motor vehicle profile, and we have a marijuana profile that's actually relatively new. So this is going to take just a minute to load. But you can see it's similar to the other profiles. It's very polished. And the table structures are similar. Crash maps is another new section this year. And right now we just have a few areas of focus, but when the 2016 data goes up, there should be a few more. So if I click on winter weather, these crash maps will show the counties around the state, shaded with darker shades indicating higher percentages of crashes. So this is winter weather crashes. So from October 2014 to April 2015, this map will show weather conditions that are icy, snowy, or slushy for the roadway. And you can see that the dark region here is in the UP and also on the west coast of Michigan. We also have tables that accompany these. And that first one was crashes, and there's fatality information, A injury information, and KAs together, which are fatalities and incapacitating or serious injuries. For the historical perspective region, we have information that dates back to 1915, all the way up to 2015. And this is specifically motor vehicle fatalities, but we have population information, as well as registered vehicles, VMT, crash rates, fatality rates, injury rates, and some averages. So you can see these are more of the same type of graph over a longer period of time. And if I click on the 10-year averages, I can jump to a specific time period within there as well. And it'll say the average. If I look at the overall picture, I can play around with this graph a little bit and change the bars. It's kind of a neat feature. But again, you can look at the different time periods associated with this graph. I should also mention that there are links on each of these pages to download the full report if you want to look at the full statewide report or the full UP report or county community or all the crash maps at once. Then you can download them in one large PDF and save it to your computer. The other side of the site that I'm going to show is the data query tool. So if I click on data query tool, I'm going to reset my query. It'll take me to a screen that displays the current crash year available and the number of crashes. So 297,023 crashes for 2015 in Michigan. And again, this is the closed data set. If I select analysis level, I can go to crashes, which is one result per crash, or units, which is a vehicle, a driver, pedestrian, bicyclist, or people, which is one result per person in the crash. So if I select units, I see that there are 514,502 units in those crashes in 2015. And again, the query will update and display this information for you. If I select people, again, the counts update and the query updates. The next section is Timeframe. So the query tool has data back to 2004. We don't have 2016 data up yet, but it should be up soon, within a month or so. If I select date range, I'm actually given the choice of dates to select and the years. So you can select specific dates within a year. For now, I'm just going to stay on 2015. If you select geographic location, you're given options around the state for areas to select. So if I select Lower Peninsula, this count will update. So 587,563 people and 288,924 crashes in 2015. And again, the query will update. So now it says Lower Peninsula. You can do the same for Upper Peninsula or intersections. So if I have a specific intersection, so I'm selecting the intersection of Plymouth and Green, which is right near where I work in Ann Arbor. And I click Look Up Intersection. And it should display this intersection in a small Google map. And there it is. And if I select Use Selected Intersection, it should update to show there were 5 people and 2 crashes in 2015, this intersection. Now on to the new features of the site. So this year, we have a couple new features. You can select road segments. So if I go ahead and click that, and then I click Select Road Segments, it'll take me to an additional page with a Google map that's interactive. And it'll zoom to your current location if you're within the state of Michigan. And if you're not within the state of Michigan, it'll just show you the entire state of Michigan as a Google map. but you can zoom out. I'm actually going to try to look at downtown Lansing. So if I zoom back in a little bit, if you zoom out too far, it'll actually give you a warning that you need to zoom in because you can't select, it doesn't give you the option of selecting a large amount of segments because it's so much data. But if you zoom into a specific area and you use the drop down and you select bounding box, you can actually draw a box and it'll calculate the road segments within that box. So all of these shaded area, all of the different shades, excuse me, are different segments, and you can click on those and deselect them if you're not interested in those, or you can go over here on the right and deselect them. And it'll show you how many segments you have selected. So right now I have 92 selected. If I deselect these, now I have 88. I can reset it, so I had 97 total in that area. Another thing I could do is restrict to segments only within that box. So let me just adjust this a little bit. There we go, and it'll resize it. And then I'm going to restrict it to segments within the box. And say I don't want this segment right here, I just select that, and then I click Apply Selected Segments. And you'll see that there were 209 people in 96 crashes in 2015 in these segments. And it'll say that you have 64 road segments selected in your query. If you want to deselect them all, you can, and say I just want this section of Walnut Street. So I select those 4, and then I can apply those. And now there are 13 people and 6 crashes in the section of Walnut Street. So let's reset that. I'm going to see if I can drag it a little bit bigger. There, now I have some more segments, and I'll apply this region. 300 people and 135 crashes in this region. Another option I have is to select PR, physical road. And if I go and I try to select one of these roads, let's say Kalamazoo, no segments found. So I just keep trying until I actually hit the roadway. Let me zoom in. There it goes. Yeah, so Kalamazoo is a long road, and it has all of the segments selected within that area. And again, I can apply these and see how many crashes. 87 crashes. And I can zoom in and deselect specific segments if I'm interested in not, let's say, not this area of the roadway. And I can apply those. 167 people and 70 crashes. I can also select a different type of area, which is a polygon. And for this, I'm going to select a different shape. So here, in case I don't want to box, this roadway is shaped a little like a triangle. So I'm just going to follow this triangle and select a polygon. 41 segments in that area. And say I missed some of these segments and I wanted them, I can actually adjust this and get any missing segments that I'm interested in. So it's just a little bit of a different way to go about doing it if you're not interested in a box area. And again, you can deselect these segments and apply. Let's see, there's 15 crashes in the segments that I currently have selected. And again, my query will update and say that there are 54 selected road segments. And all of the road segments match up with the Michigan framework data. And right now we currently have the version 15A. If I want to view these 15 crashes, from here I can go directly to our map output. And it pinpoints these specific crashes. And if I click on one, I can see more information about the crash. And actually, let me try to click on one of these. You can see the road segment that crash is on. I can also download the UD10 directly from here as well. And the UD10 is that actual crash report that the officers filled out. And we can scroll down and see there's a narrative down here. Usually there's a diagram. I happen to pick one without a diagram. But you can see the roadway in the diagram as well. You can also select Street View, and it'll take you to a Google Street View. So 421 West Hodge Avenue in Lansing. And I can rotate and view the area. And it would show a little bit of a better picture if I gave it a little more time. But I'm going to exit Street View actually. So from here I can actually go back to selecting road segments and make a different selection if I'm interested in a different area. And I apply those segments, and there are 40 crashes in that area. So that's the general gist of road segments. Again, it's a brand new feature. If you have questions or comments later, I'll be happy to answer those. So now I'm going to return to the query editor. Yes? Okay, just a second. Do you see it now? Can you see it now? Okay, sorry about that. I don't know why that happened. That's strange. I just stopped sharing it and started sharing it again. Okay, so you can see everything now. Oh, no, you can't? All right, just 1 second. Let me see. That's strange. Do you just see a black screen? Oh, it's not happening to everyone. That's very strange. Some people can see my screen. I've never had that happen before. I can try to close there. Are you still having problems seeing it? That's weird. Well, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to continue. And I will try to, there'll be a weird section in the middle now that I was trying to locate the screen, but I'm actually capturing my background. There you go, maybe try refreshing it. Because on my end, it still shows that I'm sharing. And some people are still able to see. All right, I'm going to continue then. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Yeah, computers. All right, where was I? Okay, map area, the other new feature. So if I select, well, I'm going to reset my query because I don't want those road segments anymore. All right, back to 597.23 crashes in 2015. And if I select map area, and then I click the option to select map area, it will take me to another Google map. Again, zoomed in on the area that I'm at currently, but I can zoom out. Just have to wait for it to load. But then, once hopefully the screen loads, there we go. I can select this area on map option. And if I drag, it's kind of a strange area actually, but we'll see what it gives us. 27,602 crashes in that area. And I can resize this. Say I actually messed up and I wanted to see the area around Grand Rapids. And it'll zoom into that area. 20,009 crashes. And again, the query will update. And if I'm able to zoom out far enough, I can show that you can actually select a wider area on the map. So Google Maps is a little bit slow, but my crashes have actually updated to 149,772 crashes in this upper left-hand corner. Oh yeah, no crashes in Canada. It won't count those anyway. So I can adjust that box. And it'll, again, adjust to zoom with that specific area. So just a geographic area selection tool as opposed to selecting specific road segments. Again, I can view those on a map output. And this is our general map output, and it's actually a heat map with the darker red areas showing higher densities. So in this area that I have selected around Lansing, Lansing itself has a higher density of crashes, which makes sense, as opposed to these outer areas where there's less traffic. And if I zoom in enough, I should be able to see the crash points. Again, the map will just have to catch up a little bit, but eventually it'll show crash points like it did before. And again, I can select those specific points, and I can download the UD10 directly from there. Let's see. There we go. And it still shows the road segments because now the map is set to show the road segments whenever you select on a crash. If you select View Crashes by Category dropdown, you can actually select one of these options. Let's try Crash Type. And it'll allow you to see the crashes by one of the fields on the filters in our query tool, taken from the UD10. And it'll shade these crash points. I have 15,000 selected. That's an awful lot, but it should give us a key and show the different crash types for these crash points. It may be that my connection's just a little slow and it's not keeping up. There we go. So the different shadings show the key here. The green are the single motor vehicle, and head-on left turn, angle, rear end, etc. And you can see just by crash type. You can also see by different crash flags, as we call them, and worst injury in the crash. So if you're interested in highlighting fatal crashes in an area of interest, you could use this tool. So if I go back to map area, and I'm done with map area, and I want to return to the query editor, I'm going to actually reset my query again. All right, back to the beginning. As well as the locations that I've mentioned already, you can select specific counties. So Berry County had 1,396 crashes in 2015. And it'll give you options of the profiles that I showed you before, just as a suggestion. Hey, you were interested in this county, maybe you'd be interested in the profile that goes along with the county that you're looking at. We have city or township. So in this township there were 36 crashes, and you can actually search for specific townships that you're interested in. If you select crashes near me and click use my location, it'll tell you how many crashes, there it goes, are within your current location. So I have 19 crashes in 2015. We're within 1,500 feet of my location right now. If you select districts, it'll show you a display of districts, and again, offer the profile that goes along with the district. And we have the prior districts as well as the present districts, and the same goes for the posts, Michigan State Police posts. We have MDOT regions, and then the MDOT regions changed. We have those. We also have Michigan Metropolitan Planning Organizations, MPOs, and I think just the one changed. So if I select Battle Creek Area Transportation Study, 3,140 crashes in 2015. And then last we have Traffic Safety Networks around Michigan. So the thumb area, 4,492 crashes. And again, it offers the profile. All right, now on to the filters. So these are all the fields that I referred to earlier that are from the UD10, the crash report, and you can see they go on and on. There's different shading. The white area are crash-specific filters. This blue or purple area are vehicle or driver-specific, or bicyclist or pedestrian, as the case may be. And this pinkish red area is party-specific, so person-specific, so everybody in the crash, no matter if they're a driver or passenger, or pedestrian, or a bicyclist. So I'm just going to run through a few filters, a few queries. The first one I'm going to do, well, actually the very first thing I'm going to do is reset my query. And I'm going to stay on crashes for 2015 for the entire state. Where there were drugs involved. So I passed it. Crash drug use. So I select the filter I'm interested in, and I select drugs involved, and it'll show that it's inactive. And if I select apply filter, one active filter. I only have one filter selected, so one is active. And then we see that there were 2,227 crashes in 2015. And if I'm interested from here, I can add other filters as well. And say I hit one by accident, I can delete the filters and remove them. I can see how many crashes have no drugs involved if I apply it. My next query is going to be for motorcycles. So I'm going to select units so that I can get specific to vehicle. And I'm going to go down to this blue-gray section, and I'm going to select vehicle type. And when I do that, I select cycle and apply. If you have more than one filter, say you're interested in several, so I have cycle, motor vehicle, vehicle defect, vehicle use. You can apply multiple at a time. So if I go up here and I select apply all selected filters, yeah, it's going to give me a strange result because I've selected vehicle defect, lights and reflectors, and commercial business for a motorcycle. But if I remove those, 396 units, so motorcycles in 2015 crashes. That's a good question. So if I select let's see, traffic unit type from here, and I select bicycle, if I click apply, it's going to give me 0 because there are no crashes where on a motorcycle there was a bicyclist. I think that's what you're asking. So yes, they have to be true. If you wanted, sorry, go ahead. So the best way to go about doing that would be to create a table. So I can actually create a table right now. So if I delete this and go back to all of my crashes and I select, so for results you can select charts, tables, lists, calendars, but for what you're interested in, I would go to the table and I would select, let's say, vehicle type. And then you could see multiple vehicle types within one filter. But if I already had like cycles selected, then it wouldn't show the other values. So if you wanted like cycles and bicycles and pedestrians, you would have to do them as separate queries because they're just different types. If you're interested in, let me edit my query again. If you're interested in pedestrians and bicyclists and motor vehicle drivers, you can actually get onto the person level and select party type. And I have to change my analysis to people, but actually I don't need to select the filter at all. I'm going to show you on the table. But I have people selected, and then I go all the way to party type and click apply. And then you'll see the drivers and passengers and bicyclists and pedestrians all separate. So that might answer your question. You could actually, let's try vehicle type here. So you can make a table of both of those. And then, so for cyclists, it'll show you who were the drivers and passengers. That's the best way to handle that. And you can also sort these tables. So for passenger cars and station wagons, motor vehicle driver is the most prominent for people in crashes. And you can copy these tables and make a comma-separated value file or an Excel file. But you can paste them right into Excel as well. If I go back, because I'm afraid I'm going to run out of time before I want to take some more questions, I'm going to show you some charts. So let me select on alcohol-involved crashes real quick, just to narrow it down a little bit. All right, drinking involved, apply filter. 18,319 people. So if I select view chart, and I'm on pie chart, and I can go down and select county. And there's a lot going on here, but you can see a pie chart of all the counties and the counts. And if you hover over them, it'll show you percentages. And you can pop out these slices. If you narrowed it down to a set of counties, it would only show those counties specific. So when you're querying, you're actually narrowing down your search. And then, say month might be a better illustration. And I just want to pop out some summer months because I'm interested in those. And you can also download that graph. You can view it as a bar chart, and it'll show the same thing as a bar. You can view it as a line graph. Again, similar, but with a line. And if you hover over, it'll show you the months and the counts. And you can also see the timeline. And here, let me edit my query and select some more data, just so I have a larger time frame. So now I have 2012 through 2015. There we go. And I'm going to select this pin, and I'm going to just pin this peak right here. And then you should be able to drag this over time. So if I zoom in, there we go. Now I've zoomed in, and I can grab a peak. And I can compare that peak over time to a different time frame. So that's kind of neat. Again, you can download this directly from here. I showed tables, so for lists, a common question we have is how to do GPS coordinates. So there's crash latitude and crash longitude on here. And I'm just going to go ahead and select both right now and click apply. And I have a lot of crashes selected right now. It will actually display the crash instance and then the latitude, longitude, but you can select as many as you want. You can download the UD10s from here, but you can also copy this data and put it into a spreadsheet and then use the spreadsheet for whatever you're interested in crashes in a specific region. So if you're interested in grabbing some data, this is the way to go about that. And it'll display 90 records, and then you click next and it'll display the next 90 records. There's a calendar, so at any point you can share a query too. So there's an option here, you can just copy and paste that query into a different browser, and it'll pop up that query. Oh, it's actually going to take me right to that page that I was just on. So let me edit my query and go and select some deer crashes, just for an interesting display of deer. So I'm already on crashes for 2015, and I want to go to crash deer, deer involved associated. And then I select deer involved and apply. 47,002 crashes in 2015. And if I view the calendar, again, this will show, this is another form of shading, like the crash maps. But if you hover over, you can get more information on these two. And if you click, and you can map it and chart it. But you see that the higher density is in October and November, which is really interesting for deer crashes. Here it's 403 compared to 92 on the 8th of April. So just kind of a neat, and if you have more than 1 year selected, it'll show the years in separate tabs, so you can compare them over time too. I want to get to questions, and I've kind of shown the map, so let me just go over some help information. Here's the map of all deer crashes in the state, and again, you can select on those filters there. And you can bulk download crash reports. So I have too many selected right now because I have 47,000 crashes. But if you narrow your search down to less than 500, you can download a zipped file of the crashes and get all the crash reports and look at them at once. We have some resources down here at the bottom. So a bunch of the links that we use. If you go to the help information, you'll see commonly used queries, which is the sheet that I find very helpful and I give out sometimes when I do presentations in person. It's taking a little bit to load. But it's just a helpful, like a cheat sheet per se for queries. I'll let that load. And then some other help information. We have video tutorials, which I've been trying to add to over time. So if people ask a question, I try to include it. There's road segment information on here too, but these are all YouTube videos. So if you want to hear me talk some more or show it to somebody else maybe, even downloading crash reports is right on here, and sharing queries. So those are really useful. Let's see. Yes, I'm going to try to. Yeah, if my screen recording worked correctly. So here's the commonly used queries sheet. It's loaded now. Also, as far as the commonly used queries, we have a simple query option. And again, there's a drop down with different sections, so school buses. And then if you select your year, say you're interested in school bus crashes in 2011, and click go, and it'll automatically update for you. And again, that's going to be similar to that commonly used query sheet. We had some filter changes for 2015 data. That's all listed on here. We also have information about the road segment data that has been added. Oh, we have an update section now too. So by month it'll tell you. And that will light up too if you have if we have an update that you haven't seen. But I'm going to go ahead and take this time for questions. Oh yeah, if you need to contact us or you have any questions, if you want to know some more about road segments, or you just have a general, hey, can you give a presentation to our group question, you can just send an email here or give this number a call. There's also a link to the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning here as well. So I'll go ahead and take questions now if anybody has questions. Or if anyone wants me to do a specific query, I can do that as well. Sure. Child restraints. All right, I'm writing this down. Okay, so if you're interested in 2015, first you'd select the people so that you get all the people in the vehicle. And then you'd filter on, it's going to be person restraint. And there's actually different restraint use for belts in the vehicles as well as helmets, but there's child restraints. So if you wanted to know how many child restraints were not used, you could apply that. 415. If you wanted to actually get more specific and select an age, so this is all people in crashes in general. If you wanted to say narrow it down to a motorcycle or something, I mean, that's a little bizarre, but if you wanted a specific vehicle type, you could do that like I showed earlier as well. And then it'll just narrow down to that specific vehicle. But let's try 1 and 2-year-olds. So 91. Child restraint not used. And then you can also see the used. 3,376. Yep, go back. Oh, sorry, maybe I went a little too fast. It's all the way at the bottom of the filters, and there's person age, and there's also person restraint, because it's in this people section. There's only a few filters in this section. So if you wanted to make a table, you could select both and apply for 1 to 2-year-olds, and then you could go and make a table and see, again, child restraint's going to be all the way at the bottom. And then select apply, and you'll see a table of child restraint use for 2015. And you could select multiple years and have this other column be crash year. Right now I just have 2015, but then you could see the child restraint use over time. And this is available in some of our publications too. Yeah, no problem. Does anybody else have a question? I agree. I think that other states should do this too. A lot of states have a crash facts site that they maintain. Not all states, but they'll have like a publication side, but most states don't have a query tool. So our website has actually won multiple awards for website at a conference that we go to every year. A lot of states have a querying ability, but it's for internal use. So I've seen a few presentations that I thought were great, but I was actually at a conference or something and they only use it within their internal departments. So it's not public. So Michigan's one of the only states that has a publicly available website like this that you can get from anywhere, which is really great. But as far as the number of states, I don't have any counts off the top of my head, but I just know that it's rare for states to have a publicly available query tool like this. But again, over time, more states are adding too. So, and there are states that we talk to about this information too, and we try to grab like the fact sheets. I liked what Louisiana was doing, so we added the fact sheet infographic information into the fact sheets. So it's constantly a conversation amongst different states. So we're trying to help each other out, but it just depends on the laws and the government within different states and what they'll allow. That was a long-winded answer, I think, but yeah. Great. Yeah, I'm trying to look at the text going by, and it's going faster than I can grab, but I can show you that and then come back to this. So if I go back to edit the query and reset this, as far as I'm thinking about the crash diagram. So if you want, let's see, when I did the crashes near me, I had 19, so that's a good example. And it'll give you can do like an intersection this way too. But if I use my location, I clicked it, 19, and then I go to crash reports, and I download them. It might take a minute since there's 19, but I believe I have some downloaded. Oh, that's the empty crash diagram, but I have another one on here too. Let's see what this one has. That one's blank. Oh, they're both blank. Huh. Go figure. Here's my zipped file. It's finished. Yeah, so here's all of the crashes, the 19 crashes. And there should, all of the crash diagrams are not blank. There we go. Oh. Yeah, so you'd have to look at each individual crash diagram. And the narrative tells you exactly what happened. All of these are redacted, so it doesn't have any personal identifying information. Oh, quality dairy right near here. Yeah. But that's how you would do it. You would go and look at all of the individual UD10s. There's not a specific way to query for a crash diagram. That one's blank too. But all of them at once, you mean? Yes, no, you can't do that on our query tool. I'll write that down. So what we actually do is get the data from the Criminal Justice Information Center, which is part of the Michigan State Police, but they have a traffic crash reporting unit, and they have a phone number on here. They also have a website that you can go to, and I think that they would be the people to answer that question. Because we get the data from them, the closed data sets each year, and we get the UD10s from them. So it's already redacted when we get the information. It might be a good thing to actually run by them. They might want to know. let me try to go back to, let me see if there's any written questions. Oh, yeah, our site is completely mobile friendly. We had a redesign, I believe I did a webinar last year and highlighted the mobile friendly aspect of the website, but since we have the road segment information and area selection, that's more of the highlight this year. But everything's mobile friendly, tablet, you should be able to see all of that on your mobile devices. What is the best way to see crashes involving children using or not? Okay, answered that one. Crash diagrams. Minnesota has an internal tool. Again, I know some states like Louisiana and Florida have tools too, but I think that Louisiana's isn't internal, but Florida's is. I think that's how it goes. What are the intentions for this data? Will it help prevent future crashes? That's a good question. So part of my job is actually working with the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning. I'm actually sitting in Lansing today, and I consult with the staff, and I do statistics for them because I'm a statistician. I compile crash data, and they use it to help guide their funding and for preventative, to prevent crashes in Michigan. So I'm sure there's more to it, but that's a simplified version. So I have lots of data requests from them, and it's a great relationship. And so that's one way, but we also get outside requests too. So sometimes we get requests, say for drugs or something for community health, and they look at drug-involved crashes. I just had a request about that recently. So there are lots of different organizations that use the data to try to prevent crashes in an area. Or MPOs or something more specific like that would be a specific area example. Does it encourage to improve roads? I don't think, so we don't have roadway information specific, so it's not like an MDOT specific kind of tool. But you would have to look at the crashes and then look at the roadway. I'm interested in crashes at US 12. Can everyone still hear me okay? I still hear someone else. Okay, just want to make sure. I'm interested in crashes at US 12. If I go back to the query tool, and I will sit here and answer as many questions as you guys have for as long as you want. I have no problem with that. So if you go to the filters and you select highway number, hopefully US 12 is listed right there. Yeah, thank you. It's much appreciated. So if you select US 12, 3,431 crashes. Yeah, that's the best way. If you go and select it with the road segment selection, you may not get all of US 12 because it'll stop at a certain point, but this is the way to get all of US 12 in the data itself. And if you wanted a specific intersection, you could then narrow it down from here. Let me go back to the other screen. Oh, US 12 in Dorset, let's see, I can do that. So I would do it this way, actually. I would reset this. And I would go to the intersection. And hopefully we can do an intersection with the expressway. But it'll tell us if we can. I don't know what city that's in. I have to go back. Ipsy, okay. Just copy that. Now let's see what we get. Yep, it worked. So if I use that intersection, 14 crashes in 2015. Yeah, that would be the way to go about doing that, using the intersection selection. Or you could actually select the specific road segments if you want to. That would be much more complicated. I don't know if I can do that on the spot. Oh, it's going to zoom me into Lansing anyway, so it's probably not the easiest thing to do on the spot. But you could also select the road segments that make up that intersection. That would be another option. Let me see if there are any more questions typed out. Yeah, no problem. While someone is typing, I'll just take the moment to thank you all for being part of this webinar. Again, you can email the MTCF info email if you have any questions. If you have comments about road segments, we'd love to hear them since it's a new feature, or just comments in general. We'd appreciate that. And thanks again. Is there a distance that represents an intersection? Yes. So if I go back here, so if you're specifically interested, you can edit the feet within the intersection. It's different if you go. One of our resources is actually the UD10 coding manual. And that would be the best place to look for what the officers are actually reporting if it's an intersection-related crash. But that's a little bit of a different argument because there's a crash filter on there that would be used for. So if you wanted all intersection crashes, it's crash intersection. And that would be what that would apply to. 10 crashes. Oh, I'm still at that other intersection. So if you just have the entire state. 90,752 crashes are classified as an intersection. And I believe, I want to say it's, yeah, I don't want to say without looking it up for sure, but it is within that UD10 coding manual. Otherwise, you can specify if you're just looking for an intersection yourself. Oh, I see a comment that says it started at 10 and not 11. I'm going to try to put the screen shot that I've grabbed, the recording of the whole presentation up. We'll see if that worked. I've never tried to do one this long before, but it'll be similar to the YouTube videos. Thank you for the presentation and information. You're welcome. Anytime, yes. And again, there's more information about presentations, and I go around the state and present if anybody's interested. But we have updates, and that might be helpful for that information. I'm going to stay on the line for a little bit, but if nobody else has any questions, oh, I see one more. It's coming through. I'll just hang out for a while. So if you have questions, feel free. Or email me at any time. So. What program we used to create the alcohol infographics? We actually hired a student who was a graphic artist, and he used InDesign. And we currently use InDesign for the infographics. There are lots of ways to display that type of information. Our graphs are a little bit different too on the query tool, but there's a lot of great data displays available out there. All right, it looks like most of the people are out of the room now, so if anybody has any other questions, feel free to give us an email. Thank you again. Have a great day.